Today we're diving into one of the most powerful stories from Hindu mythology. It's an absolutely epic tale about a tyrant king, his incredibly devout son, and a test of faith that, literally shakes the cosmos.
And really, the whole thing boils down to this one question, right? Can a child's pure, unshakable faith actually defeat a king who believes he's completely invincible? Well, let's get into it.
So our story kicks off with this figure of just immense power, and honestly even bigger pride, King Hiranyakashipu. This was a guy whose ambition was so huge, so all-consuming, that he actually dared to challenge the gods themselves.
Now, where did he get all this power? Well, it came from a very specific boon he was granted after years and years of intense penance, and he was clever about it. He basically created a contract of invincibility. He couldn't be killed by man or beast, not indoors or outdoors, not during the day or at night, not on the earth or in the sky, and not by any weapon known to man. He was sure he had covered every single angle, every possible loophole. So, with this power in hand, his ego just went off the charts. He made a decree across his entire kingdom. Forget the other gods. I am the Lord of all worlds. You will worship me and only me. The stage was set for this huge cosmic showdown.
But here's the twist. The greatest threat to his absolute power didn't come from an army or another king. No, it came from the most unlikely place you could imagine, his very own son, the young prince, Prahlada.
And this is really the heart of the story, this incredible clash of wills. On one side, you have the king. His power is all external, right? It comes from a boon, it's fueled by his massive ego. And on the other side, you have his son, Prahlada, whose strength is completely internal. It comes from humility and just pure, simple faith.
You see, from a very young age, Prahlada's heart belonged to Lord Vishnu. So when his father demanded to be worshipped, Prahlada just couldn't do it. He calmly insisted that Vishnu alone was the true preserver of the universe. And that single act of defiance set him on a collision course with his father's terrifying pride. Well, as you can imagine, the king was enraged. His fury just boiled over into this unimaginable cruelty. He decided he would break his son's spirit, and he put Prahlada through a series of horrific trials designed to shatter his faith in Vishnu.
And these attempts were just brutal. First, he had Prahlada's food poisoned, but the boy was unharmed. So he sent giant war elephants to trample him, but they just gently moved around him. Then, he had him thrown into a pit full of venomous snakes, and they refused to bite him. In a final, desperate act, he had his sister, Holika, who had a special boon that made her immune to fire, sit in a massive bonfire with Prahlada on her lap. But the boon miraculously protected Prahlada, and Holika was the one who perished in the flames.
And through every single one of these terrifying trials, what was Prahlada doing? He was just calmly chanting the name of Vishnu. That's it. His faith acted like this impenetrable shield, and he walked away from every attempt without a scratch. And this, of course, just drove his father deeper into rage and disbelief.
So the king's tried everything. He's at his wit's end, driven to the very edge of madness. He decides there's only one thing left to do: stage a final, dramatic showdown in the middle of his royal court.
He grabs Prahlada, drags him in front of everyone, points to this huge stone pillar in the hall, and screams this final, mocking challenge. You say your God is everywhere. Fine. Is he in this pillar? And even now, facing this explosive rage, Prahlada is the picture of calm. He looks his father in the eye and, with total certainty, he just says, "Yes, father, he is." And that is the final straw. With a roar of fury, Hiranyakashipu takes his mace and smashes it against the pillar to prove his son wrong once and for all. And in that instant, a deafening crack echoes through the hall. The pillar splits wide open. Okay, so what comes out of that pillar is incredible. And it's a really important concept in Hinduism called an avatar. Basically, an avatar is when a god deliberately comes down to earth in a physical form, usually to fix something that's gone terribly wrong and restore balance. And the being that emerges is Narasimha, the fourth avatar of Vishnu. And this form is the perfect, almost legal counter to the king's supposedly foolproof boon. Think about it. Narasimha is half man, half lion. So he's neither man nor beast. He appears at twilight, which is neither day nor night. He grabs the king on the threshold of the doorway, neither indoors nor out. He uses his claws, which aren't considered a weapon, and he places the king on his lap, so he's neither on the earth nor in the sky.
Every single one of the king's conditions was met and ingeniously bypassed. So with the tyrant finally defeated, cosmic balance is restored. But what's the real moral here? What can we take away from this incredible story of faith and fury?
Well, first, we see that righteousness is rewarded. Prahlada, whose faith never ever broke, is crowned the new king, and he goes on to rule with the very same justice and compassion that he held in his heart all along.
The story really leaves us with some timeless lessons, doesn't it? That true strength, real strength, comes from your inner conviction, not from some external power or title. That your faith can be a powerful shield against anything life throws at you. That in the end, righteousness will always triumph over tyranny. And that humility, well, it's a much greater virtue than arrogance. And so, this ancient tale leaves us with a question that's just as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. It really asks us to look at our own lives and think, what does true strength actually look like? And where does it really, truly come from?